My mother was a public school teacher in Akron Public Schools. That's where I'm from Akron, Ohio, for over 30 years. And so I saw education and its value. You know, she was teaching in a school where we lived, where she had to bring snacks and food to the kids. Obviously, you have the free and reduced lunch program. That wasn't enough. And so, you know, a lot of kids didn't have breakfast and they come to school hungry. And to be honest, the breakfast program is nice unless you didn't have dinner the night before. You know, and the cumulative effect of that is, you know, you can't really work very well. And so I always remember, I'll never forget my mom telling me, you know, because some other teachers would criticize her, you know, for feeding. She's like, why are you feeding these kids? You know, that's a government's job. And she would say, I can't expect them to learn their spelling words if they're hungry. And so that's what she did. So I've always had that approach of the value of education. That's my old jersey. I was playing basketball at Ohio State, which, by the way, I graduated early. I had a year of eligibility left, and I was a double major. So I was always a better student than athlete. I was just good at basketball. I was always a student. And because of that, I was afforded the opportunity to have a great internship with the Carolina Panthers. My thing was, okay, I know ultimately I'm going to have my own business. I don't know what exactly. I said, well, where are black people having a lot of success? And so I was like, Atlanta. So I knew nothing about Atlanta. I just knew that black people were eating down here. And so I decided to come to Atlanta. So my strategy was to work for a company that's large to where they could just move me where I wanted to go. So I took a job working with Office Depot because I knew they have a ton of locations. And I could just say, can you put me in an Atlanta location? So that was my strategy. Me, though, I'm thinking, I'm making all this money for the company. I'm getting a fraction of it. But at the end of the day, I'm selling office supplies. It doesn't mean anything. I haven't impacted my community anyway. What's the point of this? So I said, let me do something with education. So I opened a tutoring company called AIM Education. This is after school. So we did private tutoring, an after-school program, and then summer camp. And eventually, I call them the Fab Five. It was 5 boys whose parents asked us to homeschool them. And so we homeschooled the Fab Five. And we grew into an actual just private school from that. Like we homeschooled them and more people wanted to do it. And that's how we got here, just from those 5 boys, middle school boys. We realized quickly when we were tutoring that the real issue was that kids weren't getting what they needed during the day. So that's where we had the desire to do more. And it kind of grew from there.
Look, I go to school, I got my tools, do my work all day, in every way, get it done. American history, what it was.
It's hard when I look at these kids now, they have no idea or where we came from. It was different. I had some kids that, you know, a lot of my kids were banging. I had some kids that had some records, you know, where I had to speak on their behalf to a judge. I have a kid that's doing time for murder right now. They're in it for a different reason. I'm trying to save their actual lives. This is about, are you going to get a college scholarship? You know, are you going to be rich and successful? Those kids, it was like, am I going to live first? You know, am I not going to be, you know, in a gang? Am I, you know what I mean? Am I not going to go to prison? So my approach was harder. So it was just different. My role was a little bit different. So now I still do many of those things. I'm a father figure for most of my students, but it's a little different. They're just as at risk, but for different reasons. I feel like education is the best way for me to impact my community. When I say my community, I mean the black community. I don't shy away from that. A lot of people act like black is a bad word. It's who I am. It's not a bad word, so I say it. I don't whisper it around white people. That's my concern, is my community. To suggest that having a black school is going to be ineffective, I just don't buy that. I just don't buy it. I actually think it's an asset for us. But we have some challenges that other private schools do not have. As a black private school, first of all, what we are doesn't really exist outside of us, because we don't have a church parent, so it's not a religious school, and it's not a performing arts school. It's not an athletic prep school. You know, what we are just really doesn't exist, and so people really don't know what to do with it initially, or sometimes understand who we are, what the benefits are. You know, they're used to looking for some of the traditional things that they think make a school. But then when they get involved, they're like, oh, this is a lot better. When you look at the seniors, you know, I have 15 seniors this year. What that allows me to do is I have a game plan for each senior. I mean, it allows me to be heavily involved, and your kid is going to benefit from it.
Hi, my name is Chadrick Thomas Jr. I'm a senior along with 1, 2, and 3. He just turned 18 and he's about to turn 18 this Saturday. And yes, I've been here since 2014, and this has been my 4th going on 5th year. And
I've been here for 6 years, since 2013. Yeah. It's been quite a change. It's helped me develop as a person, helped me grow.
And also, it's just been like, all of us came together just as a family. It's just a all type of family all around. We're gonna miss the school.
Where are the biggest pockets of income in the black community? The biggest sums of income, where you get it in large chunks? Well, it's been in athletics and entertainment, right? Part of that is because that's what people are promoting. They tell you that's who you are, and that's the image that you see of yourself, and you absorb that. But a lot of it is that those areas require talent to be dominant, and you can't cheat talent. And so, for instance, you look at LeBron, which he's staying in the same street. You know, I love LeBron, he's a home Akron kid, but 6'8", 260, 40-inch vertical, 4'3", 40, that's it. You can't work for those things. You're either gifted those things or not. Because he's gifted those things, a lot of people can work as hard as they like and they'll never be as good as he is. That's talent. But my point was, in many of the areas where they're winning, it's not about talent. Like robotics isn't really about talent, it's about shared information and experience. Engineering and medical, all of those things has very little to do with talent. I mean, you may have a predisposition to a certain subject, but it's not talent-based, it's knowledge. And so then it becomes an exposure issue. You see, it's what am I exposing you to? You can only be what you've been exposed to. How can I desire to be something I didn't know existed? How can I be a great engineer and I've never been presented with engineering principles? So a lot of our challenge in the black community is that we're just not even exposed to. That's why we have that initiative where we go overseas every year. And so we've been to South Africa, started with South Africa, and then we also went to the Middle East on that trip. And then we went to Italy, and this year we'll be in China. So that's the biggest thing for us, is that exposure piece. I think that's one of the things that will separate us. What you saw me doing with those kids downstairs, you know, one of them is 13. You know, that's pre-cal work. You know, in public school, she may have graduated and never even see it. I just have a different type of student. Now I'm looking for that. I have a kid that probably is bullied in public school. I have a kid that he wants to do more, but he doesn't get that exposure. You know, I understood some things about the way I chose to grow the program, and it takes a little bit longer. You know, sometimes you look at like a program like a Marist, and you say, God, they have all these resources, but they just celebrated their 100-year anniversary also. And so I've been doing this for 15 years since, you know, the actual private school model. And so that matters. Also, you know, it was just me, a lot of personal sacrifice. there's really been no outside funding. I had $500 to my name, and so I worked at racetrack. All of my money I was trying to filter into the business, so I stayed in an extended stay. One of those, you pay weekly, and we don't ask any questions. You know, there's no paper trails like that to where people were knocking on my door trying to buy drugs. Like, they're like, hey man, I'm like, I don't sell. So there's a lot going on. And that was the beginning of what you see here. And there's been some stuff in between, a lot of trial and error and growth, but that was the beginning.
Hello, I'm Keith Wilson. I'm the athletic director here at the Wilson Academy. We have multiple sports here. We have cross country, we have track, we have basketball, we do cheerleading, tennis, and golf. And so now this is Waka the war elephant. He's named after Waka Flocka because he likes to get rowdy, and so do we. So he represents us well. Basically, we got the idea from the movie 300 and that time period where they rode elephants to go into war with. So that's basically what we came up with. So that's Waka the war elephant. That's our mascot, the Warriors.
T-W-A.
Okay.
T. Pump it out, W. Go ahead, hey. Oh yeah, T-W-A. T. Pump it out, W. Go ahead, hey. Oh yeah, T-W-A. Let's go. T. Pump it out, W. Go ahead, hey. Oh yeah, T-W-A. 1, 2, Warriors.
Hi, I'm Barbara McKee here at the Wilson Academy. I've been here for 13 years, and the reason I've been here is because the school is such a special place to be. We have children that have different learning challenges, and because we are smaller and we think our kids are smarter, and we actually do think they're better, not better than any other student, but they're better at putting forth their best effort. I, in particularly, teach an all-inclusive class. In an inclusive environment, I'm able to teach them comprehensively. Where you are weak and I'm strong, I pair these kids together, and what they do is they build off of each other, which makes them responsible for each other, make them care about each other. And when you're successful and I'm successful, you're gonna get this great feeling, because it is better to praise children than to criticize them. We have a zero tolerance for discipline. We just don't have time for that. We focus on academics, but we teach the whole child. My heart is with the children that I've been assigned to teach and to learn from them. The Wilson Academy is a very special place to be. We love your children, we nurture your children. They're in a safe and they're in a warm environment.
Jeffrey? Yes, ma'am. Make this 1 over 4, sweetheart. Okay, good. All right, 112. You got 12 sections? Yes, ma'am. Shade 1, excellent. 1, 4, very good. Shaded 1. 1, 12. You flip. Excellent, excellent. 4 over 12 equals 1 over 3, Jeffrey. Great job. Great job, Jeffrey.
So if you are looking for somewhere for your child to come between the grades of 6 and 12, the Wilson Academy is the place to be. And if you have any other questions, just stop by. You can do an impromptu visit, and you'll find us doing what we do best every day. That's teaching and learning.
So when you look at the top 20 earning careers, 18 are STEM fields. And so the bottom line is that's where the money is, that's where the future is, it's technology. So we have to change that concept of how we think about technology. That STEM component is our ability to translate our skills to the future. So the challenge in it now is infusing it with all of the students. Because when your resources are limited, you can't expose everybody to all of the technology that you would like to. Robotics is not a thought process completely. A lot of it is just physical tools. Like, do you have servos? Like, do you have motors? Do you have these parts? Like that box right there was $700. Do you see what I'm saying? Just so, and that's not enough for us to build a competitive robot. Like, so that's going to be the beginning of what we call our phase 1 competitive robot, where in the first meet, we're not even trying to do everything. We're just saying, let's solve one of the problems, and then we'll build from there. But when you have a lot of resources, like I told you, like one of the teams that we had partnered with at the event, they had a $15,000 budget. That's a different animal. So when we're looking at these things and they have these pulley systems and stuff, it's not that we don't know how to build those things, but like we have to do some real engineering to figure out how to get those parts from Home Depot and like really like manufacture. You see what I'm saying? It's everything. It can't be just soldering. Like I don't have a blowtorch. Like like there's certain things like it's just machining. Or you had the resources to buy these parts that are already manufactured so that you don't have to do that. But you don't make excuses, you do what you can do with the resources available to you. But those things would make a big difference. They really would make a big difference.
Hi, I'm Ashley Smith. I'm a junior here at the Wilson Academy.
Hi, my name is Kai, and I'm a sophomore here. I love going to the school because it really feels like a family environment.
Yes, and both of us are running for student body president, so we hope to see you at the election on September 24th, and we love it here. It feels like home.